right, welcome to the third review of the evening. Up this time is The Lost Cube. Lost Cube is a challenging platformer which takes inspiration from classic titles such as Super Meat Boy and Celeste. The story unravels in a small village nestled somewhere in northern Europe. Each day, a special melody is played upon a magical guitar bringing prosperity upon the land. One day, the magical red cube that holds its power goes missing, and it is the quest of one brave adventurer to retrieve it and restore life to his village. You play as Ulrich, a somewhat ordinary hero on a mission. You have no weapons, so you must jump or dodge your way out of trouble. Your agility will be tested to the limit as you will face a barrage of enemies over 60 levels and two boss fights, all the while constantly avoiding unforgiving traps. So, in a nutshell, it is what I like to call a masochistic platformer.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, and I had it pretty pegged with Super Meat Boy and Celeste.
Yep. We got the Switch version of this, so Galix, you're handling this review.
So yeah, this is fairly standard for this kind of thing. You've got a bunch of basically one-screen platforming puzzles. Some of them might be slightly bigger than that. The boss fights they mentioned are at the ends of World 2 and presumably at the end of World 3, but I am a little less than halfway through World 2, so I can't speak to any of those, but I can sort of speak to some of the general platformy things and some of the issues. So, masochist platformers like this, the good ones, generally either they have surprises that are really easy to restart from. I want to say, what is it, 6,000 spikes or whatever?
Like, are you referring to another game?
Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking of 1001 Spikes.
1001 spikes. Okay, whatever. Or there are some games. Okay, so this game has, in some areas, surprise traps that you can't see before you get right next to them and then they kill you. This is generally not cool unless you have really fast and really short challenges or checkpoints or whatever, because memorization is a different skill than the rest of the stuff the game does. If it's requiring trial and error, like at least with the falling platforms, they look slightly different, so you can usually tell. But I did not appreciate the suddenly appearing spikes, because other than that, the game mostly requires timing to get between dangers. And sometimes there will be a few things in a cycle and you have to just wait, which is never particularly fun for the threat to not be the right way. Everything touches you in one. Everything that you touch kills you pretty much, except for the ground. And at each stage there is, I can't tell if it's a guitar pick or a cube fragment that you can collect. You can complete the stage without that, but I assume you need them for the good ending or something. And then a object that looks the same for the whole world that you have to get to. In the first world, which is snowy, it's a platform that has a red light on it. In the second world, which is caves, it's a red mushroom. I think there are a few stages that don't have that, in the end portal is just available, and then after and they do this to make it so you like have to go to the left corner of the screen to get the activator, and then get to the right corner of the screen to get the exit, which that's fine basically. So it requires timing and fair precision. So the corners of platforms are slippery, and I don't like that. So like if you're on a really narrow platform, which comes up, if you're not centered on the platform, you'll slip off, which is bad when there are death things below you. This one stage, it's showing on the demo. It's the one between. Let's see, what are we doing? I don't know, whatever. One of them, it has a vertical. It has two platforms going back and forth, a vertical laser going back and forth at the top, and a horizontal laser going partway across on the bottom. I was on that stage for literally 2 hours. I might have taken a break in the middle there, but it was way too long on that one, just because of the fact that there's a platform you have to ride back and forth. That if you're not centered, you'll fall off and hit the spikes that are below you. And also, there are spikes on the sides on either edge. So if you're not centered for that, you'll also land on it there, and you have to drop back and forth off that platform like 3 times. And it's a slippery platform just because of the way the game handles corners, I think. So not a huge fan of that. I feel like if you want to make your platforming and timing stuff really hard, you also need to have precise controls. You also have an unmodulatable jump, which is intentional, I assume, to prevent certain skips. So you can't like short hop underneath certain spikes that you would be able to otherwise. The music is pretty low key generally. Like, there isn't much of it. It's mostly environmental type music, except for, I think it probably is a guitar pick, because when you pick up the optional collectible in each stage, you get a strum sound effect, which is nice. Each world has a different array of dangers that it will, attack you with. The second has murder death bats that will aggro towards you if you get within their range, which is usually pretty big. And also, some of them are incredibly fast. So between them and the incredibly slow, lingering slime blob guys that you have to wait for them to move out of the way, because they like to just walk over and friggin' camp on the object. That's never particularly fun. I mean, overall, I don't actually think this is a completely terrible game, but I think that if you improved the control precision and did away with the surprise spikes completely, and maybe made the kill box on death floors and spikes a little bit more obvious, because sometimes it's not very obvious. I think that would improve it a lot. There are also some enemies that don't exactly telegraph what their threat range is, like the spear Viking guys have a bit of reach on them that I didn't realize at first. In retrospect, they have spears, so it makes sense. But see, I don't know. It was kind of frustrating for me because I don't generally enjoy this kind of game that much. The graphic design is pretty decent for the pixely kind of thing they're going for, although there are glowing effects that don't obey the pixels, if that bothers you. Yeah, I don't. Do you guys have any questions or anything?
Nope.
I think I'm good.
I'm good too.
Also, when you get to the end of level thing, it's a little bit abrupt. It just kind of, the level just fades out very quickly. There isn't like a standing and teleporting away animation or anything. You don't even actually have to hit the ground. You teleport when you get into kind of the glow. So yeah, I'm not going to say this is like terrible, but there are games that do the kind of thing that this is trying to do better generally. So take that under advisement. What's the damage price-wise?
$10.
Yeah, I guess that's not too bad for 60 levels. It's also not super long, so depending on how long it takes you on each individual stage, of course. But there aren't that many, so it's not like super intimidating that way. I guess that's nice. Having a game like this with like 500 levels would just be overkill.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, then that'll about do it for the Lost Cube here. Be sure to tune in after the break as Twilight will tackle In Celebration of Violence.